Looking to purchase land or single family home in Huffman or Crosby, Texas? I am going to give you the pros and cons about both of those cities and neighborhoods. The reason I'm doing them together is they are more of a rural communities that is northeast of Houston, and they are only about 5 minutes apart. So they are similar, but not the same. They are not opposites. But why would I want to be looking in Huffman or Crosby? Well, the very first thing would be you're looking for more land. You want more space. You don't just want to be in that cookie cutter neighborhood. So there are two communities in Huffman that are known for custom homes on acreage. One is the Commons, and I actually live in that community, so very familiar, and I'll do an entire separate video on that. The next one is Fairway Crossing. These communities are custom. There's no two homes that are like in here. You can have anywhere from 1 acre, 5 acre, 10 acre tracts in here. You're gonna see setback lines off the road of about 100 feet. You're gonna go down the streets and you're never gonna see the same house. In these communities, you also have private amenities. So in the Commons, you have 2 private boat accesses to the lake, which is Lake Houston. That is east of Kingwood. We're gonna be east of Kingwood on the opposite side of Lake Houston. There are parks, there is a pavilion, there is a swimming pool, and they have all kinds of extracurricular activities for every single holiday, okay? That's Huffman. Fairway Crossing is kind of across the street from the Commons, and it's known for a little bit smaller lots. Most of them are 1 to 2 acre lots in there. Again, they are custom, but they have a golf course in there, and it's called Red Wolf. So 2 different communities in Huffman. What else do you get in Huffman? You have your traditional communities that have single family homes. We have new construction in here, 2 or 3 communities that have new construction. Some actually have lots that are on the water, so that is wonderful. Let's talk about Crosby a little bit. If you go on down about 5 or 6 miles, you're gonna get to Crosby. So Crosby is much bigger than Huffman, period, all around, as far as residents, as far as things to do, as far as groceries, as far as shopping. It's just a bigger community. It is closer to Baytown. So if you haven't heard of Huffman or Crosby, you've probably definitely heard of Baytown. So Crosby, positives about it is that it does have, again, homes that are on acreage. It has your ability to have regular neighborhoods. We're going to call them traditional neighborhoods that or have new construction in them. And Crosby, again, is closer to Baytown, which is going to be your oil and gas, your plant. So you get a lot of plant workers in there, oil and gas, railroad people in there. Okay, a couple of positive things about both of these is you get this space. So out here in these areas, my clients are looking for room. Most of the clients out here are looking for space. They call me and they're like, hey, I want a house with a little bit of acreage on there. I can find that for you all day. Now, doesn't necessarily mean it's less expensive. So remember, in a neighborhood, you're getting a stamp, a postage stamp for a lot. Out here, you're getting a bigger piece of property. I don't know about you, but land in Texas is not growing any more of it, and the price can be high for acreage. A good acre is probably going to cost you $50,000 to $75,000 depending on where it is, but you can build your dream home on it. Let's talk about restrictions and non-restrictions. So we're talking about Huffman and Crosby again. So if you've got the cookie cutter neighborhood, you have your traditional restrictions. We don't have to go through all that. But if you're in a non-restricted area, you can do what you want. What's the pros and cons of that? Well, the pros is that I get to do what I want to do. The con can be, so can my neighbor. So if that neighbor does things to hinder your property value, that could be negative. They're junking it up, they've got too many animals, if they just don't maintain their property, that could hurt you. However, you get to do what you want to do. What else is super popular and a pro out in the Huffman and Crosby area is when you have people on land, what do they want? They want toys. If you're near the lake, they want a boat. They want side-by-sides. They want go-karts. And every man wants a tractor. So if you've got all these toys, what do you gotta have? Ding, ding, ding. We gotta have a workshop. So you will see a lot of these properties have workshops on them. If you have a workshop, your husband has a place to go and he can get out of your hair, and there's always some sort of project going on. Plus it protects all of your very expensive toys that you have out here. Next, we have lakefront properties. So they can be any price range, but you know, if you're on the water, the price range is up there. People have their own private boat docks. They can go from Huffman to Kingwood or from Huffman to Crosby. That's how that lake kind of goes is literally from Kingwood down through Huffman down to Crosby. So you would have access to all that. And the other side is Atascocita. We're not even going to go there. So some of the other positive things we have is new construction. There are about 4 or 5 new communities. In Crosby, you've got Newport, and you also have Sundance Cove, you have Woodlands Lake, and you have Lakeside Manor. So you have Woodlands Lake and Lakeside Manor in Huffman. Those are smaller communities, but at least if you're looking for a smaller starter home or you're an older couple that don't want to deal with all that land, then you can certainly go into one of those neighborhoods. A huge pro for being out here in a more rural area to me is all of your fur babies and the wildlife. I tell you this morning, there were 30 deer in my backyard, and all of the deer know you can't shoot them out here. Okay, so they call all their deer friends and they're like, let's go to the commons and let's go to Huffman because we're protected in there and we can't be hunted. Also, pro or con either way, we are prevalent with other kind of animals out here. Do not leave your trash outside because raccoons will get in your trash can. If you've just had a big party, you've got to remember to pack everything up and get your trash in the trash can inside the garage because the raccoons will scatter it all over your acreage, okay? We also have possums, coyotes, all kinds of wildlife out here, so you have to know about that. Let's talk about our special fur babies, our puppies. So when you are non-restricted, you can have as many pets as you want to. Recommendation out here, I have 3 dogs and a cat. We're on 3 acres, so there's plenty of room for them out here. In the commons specifically, we do have deed restrictions. We are mildly restricted, like we can't have mobile homes in here, but you can have your animals, you can have your workshops, you can have all your fun toys. When you are in a deed restricted community like the commons, you can have horses out here, which is wonderful, but it's 1 horse per acre. Obviously, horses are a lot bigger than dogs, so they do want some limitations on that. Also, I'll talk about school districts in a minute, but ag is a huge factor when you're in the rural community. These children out here raise steer, they raise hogs, they raise chickens, and they raise rabbits. So you will see a lot of that prevalent in these neighborhoods because these children are very much into the ag culture out here. They grow up with that, then they end up continuing it, and they get a lot of scholarships out here on their agricultural adventures. Some of the kids even do the baking competition. They're baking pies, they're baking cupcakes, they're doing all kinds of stuff out here. So while we're talking about that, let's talk about the school districts. So when you are looking at school districts in a more rural area, I'm gonna say most people are gonna consider this a con. You are not gonna see the highest rankings of school districts. You're just not, okay? It's a different mindset out here. The schools are gonna be smaller. The classrooms are gonna be smaller. Your teachers are gonna be more hands-on, and for whatever reason, parents, it's very positive. Parents are very, very involved in the community with their children, with the schools, with their extracurricular activities. There are so many sponsorship opportunities out here for small businesses. There's a lot going on with these schools out here. So sports is very prevalent in both of these school districts, as well as ag and the bands. I would say again, a negative. Academics is obviously increasingly important, but you're not gonna see the top tier level of academic point that you may see in other city or higher end school districts. So with that being said, when you're rural, I just said that, you don't have the tax infrastructure of large businesses out here. So Crosby and Huffman have a lot of small businesses, a lot of mom and pop. I'm from here, my brokerage is here, I am Design Realty Group, and I make sure at every opportunity that I can that I'm supporting our local businesses, and everyone out here does that. So a little bit of a con, here is a big negative. We have a pretty large group of people out here, and there's no new grocery store. Eek! We have to drive 15 minutes to get to Kroger or HEB. Those are our main grocery stores that we have out here. Kroger is in Valley Ranch Town Center, and Kroger and HEB are in Atascocita. Both of those are about 15 minutes from Huffman. Honestly, there's not much shopping out here or restaurants. Typically in Huffman, we have about 4 Dollar Generals, 4 Mexican foods, and a couple of barbecue restaurants. Hey, they're all really good. but there's not that many options. Also, kind of a negative, Crosby is much bigger than Huffman. It has a lot more. There's a brand new Ace Hardware coming. I will have to say a negative of Crosby. It does have Walmart, but all of their strip centers that they have, again, a lot of mom and pop restaurants, they're old. They just don't look new. You know this, everybody likes new things, shiny things, fancy things. You can get by out here, you can get your nails done, you can get your hair done, you can grab a coffee. There's not a Starbucks in Huffman, but there is one in Crosby. Other restaurants that we have are pretty much fast food. Sonic, dear God, in Huffman, do not eat at the Sonic. It's horrible. If I was in the fast food industry, I would buy that Sonic because it needs a whole rehab. But you can survive, you can get some stuff that you need out there, but your main shopping is gonna be 15 to 20 minutes away. Okay, next thing I wanted to talk about that is definitely a pro for the Huffman and Crosby area. If you are in your rural areas, your taxes are extremely low. Way lower than in a neighborhood. We all know that a brand new neighborhood equals brand new infrastructure, which means high taxes. You've got to pay for that water and sewer and the roads and all the infrastructure for a new neighborhood. Well, when you're rural, you need to know that most of us are out here on a well and a septic. So if you're not familiar with that, you'd have to get familiar with that. In the Commons, we actually have public water, so we have a water system for our own community, but you can have a well and you can have a septic. So when the city or the county is not maintaining that for you, your taxes are really low. So we're at a current 2% tax rate, which is very good. Your new construction communities are anywhere from 3.2 to 3.6%. So do the math on that. That means rurally, you can actually afford way more money when you're buying in a rural area versus a new construction community, okay? So the positive of being rural is that you can build the house of your dream. When you are on property with no restrictions, you can have multiple families on there. There is a restriction. If you have a well and a septic, you need at least 1 acre, okay? You've got to separate the clean water from the dirty water, so at least 1 acre. But if you want to put a tiny home on there, if you want to live in your RV while you're building your home, and of course, everything that's super popular right now is a barn dominium. That is a huge thing out here. They're very, very popular. Also pros in the rural communities of Huffman and Crosby. Again, we talked about workshops. We're going to talk about barns because of course, if you have all of those fur babies, they have to have a nice, warm, clean place to sleep. So they need a barn plus extra outdoor living space. So when you are on acreage, you're there for a reason. You spend a lot of time outside. So when you have your outdoor kitchen, your outdoor fireplace, you have a fire pit area, your family and friends are coming to your house to enjoy that. They absolutely love it. A lot of people out here have swimming pools because it's kind of a long way to drive to anything. So remember, when you're rural, it's a process to get in the car and jump in. You're not just going down the street to a community pool of everything. It's a hot minute to get to something. So people like to plan and have barbecues and hang out together. And it's very much a small town vibe with a lot to do. Huffman and Crosby literally has something for everyone. That price point from $200,000 to $1 million. That's a really large price point, okay? But that's what you get in this area. You can get a single family home, you can get a country home on acreage, you can get new construction, or you can get raw land and build something yourself. Your price point again on the land is gonna be based on the area. You wanna make sure you're not in a floodplain. We've done pretty good here with where we are right now, but obviously, you know, if you have a large tract of land, you may have a portion of it that it's in the floodplain. You obviously don't wanna build on that. You just need to be very aware of your surroundings and where you are. Hey, I'm gonna talk about one negative with regard to location. Although once you get to Huffman and Crosby, you're gonna love it out here. However, getting to certain jobs is not going to be in your best interest. You are not going to have a fun commute if you are working downtown in the medical center or the Galleria, simply because when you look at my Google Map video, you will see that we are northeast and there's no quote direct freeway. You're not jumping on I-10 or IH-69. You've got to get on multiple different FM roads or little tiny state highways or country roads, county roads to get to a big highway. There's no straight shot to downtown. There are multiple ways to get to downtown and to get to the medical center, but it's not a straight shot. And I can tell you that the traffic is not going to be anything that you're going to love. A lot of people out here, when they're driving, they have audio books. They're studying audio. Again, we're not watching TV, but they are doing something to consume their time. I know what I do is I place my phone calls while I'm driving. So you've got to know how to handle the traffic traffic in the Houston area, and that's pretty much everywhere, okay? Okay, let's talk about some amenities that we have in the Huffman Crosby area. Woo! So we talked about Lake Houston. Of course, there's fishing. There's a lot of fishing. There's multiple public accesses. Again, there's private accesses for certain neighborhoods like Newport and the Commons and some other ones. You have 2 golf courses. So you have Red Wolf Golf Course, and that is in Huffman, and that is in the Fairway Crossing area. You also have the Newport Golf Club and Country Club, and they also have an equestrian center that's in Newport, and Newport is located in Crosby. Also in the middle of Huffman, we have the Axe. It's that axe throwing. That's a really cool place that you can spend your Friday and Saturday nights. They actually have bands. They have live music there. They have beanbag toss, they have beer and wine, they have food trucks there, so that's also really a good time. You are about, like I said, 15 minutes away to the Valley Ranch Town Center, and you're about 15 minutes away from Kingwood, and you're about 15 minutes away from Atascocita, so you're kind of about 15 minutes away from everything. Once you're in Crosby, when you're heading more east, you're heading toward Baytown. Like I said, you recognize that. A lot of work going on in Baytown. New construction, let's visit that a little bit in these areas. So we have several builders out here. We have D.R. Horton is a huge builder in the Crosby area, and they are opening a new neighborhood now. We have Kalina Homes. We have some Starlight Homes up there. They're kind of picking up and going everywhere. There's not that much more land in Huffman. Huffman is kind of small. We would love to see more communities out here, but like I said, Huffman is much smaller than Crosby is. So personally, I love new construction. A lot of times new construction is a lot easier to get into, especially for our first-time home buyers, our teachers, our firemen, our policemen, because new construction right now is offering a ton of incentives. They're offering closing costs. They're buying that interest rate down. So all of those things are negotiable with new constructions. And heck, right now, you're not even having to negotiate. They're just throwing it at you, which is all really good. All the new construction builders, they tend to flow with the market. Whatever they need to do to get homes sold, the good thing is they have the ability, they have their own title companies, they have their own lenders. So they're not just in a box where they can only do certain things with their financing or with their clients. They're going to do whatever it is they have to do because they have set out a plan, years in advance, that they're building a community, and whether the interest rate is high or the interest rate is low or the economy is good or the economy is bad, new construction is going to keep going, and they are going to continue to build homes. So they're going to adjust and do whatever they have to do to get clients in the door with them. So if you would like any more information or have specific questions about living in Huffman or Crosby, please do not hesitate to give me a call. I am Judy Hayes, the broker owner of Design Realty Group, and my direct cell phone is 281-881-0840. Any questions or comments, I would love to hear from you.